All right.
Welcome back, everybody.
Round 3. Coming up. We got Player 2 versus Breya the Vampire Slayer. I'm guessing we're going to see a Breya here, right?
I think it is Breya and Edgar Markov, I actually think is the combo we're going to be seeing.
Edgar, when I look at MTGO online list for 1v1 Commander, it seems like it is full of Edgar,
Yep.
Breya, couple Zergos in there, couple Teferis in there, and then, a menage of kind of various ones.
Various. You got the Flipness, so that's a big
Yeah,
one
for those
still.
green players. Sylvella, right?
Yep,
Sylvalla
from Conspiracy 1. Yep.
She seems to be really popular as well. Not at these tables right now, though.
No.
I didn't see anyone playing her today. Players are going to look what they got working in their hand, make some decisions here. We got Christmas theme going on the sleeves on our Player 2 side.
Yeah. Maybe they're Gruul. Maybe they're just playing red and green. Oh, no, never mind. There
saw
was
the island.
Oh, flip our commanders before we go. So we have Muzzio, Visionary Architect from Conspiracy.
Okay.
The Black-Blue Fairy, Oona, I believe. And Breya and Edgar. Ooh. So Edgar, again, I think is going to be more of an aggro deck. Stockpile with probably cheap creatures to get those tokens and kick some teeth in.
I wonder if the Breya's player is going to be more control-y to allow that to happen.
I definitely hope that's what they built it like. Those using those Thopters as lightning bolts is really fun to do.
Lightning bolts to the face, removal spells to give -4/-4 can be really beneficial in the aggro matchups if you can get to your 4 mana right away. And we're going to see the Skull Clamp milled. Edgar generally just wants to load up on vampires and start swinging, right?
Yep. You get a nice board presence with all the 1/1 tokens. You drop Edgar. He gives them all +1/+1 counters, and they swing away.
What is the commander ability that lets them have the benefits of the commander when they're in the command zone?
Eminence.
Eminence. Is he an Eminence commander?
He is an Eminence commander. So when he's in the command zone, when you cast a vampire, you bring in another 1/1 vampire token.
Ah, so he makes it...
And he does that when he's on the battlefield as well. And then when he attacks, all attacking vampires get a +1/+1 counter.
That's powerful.
Very powerful. The talk around the shop lately has been they wouldn't be surprised if he ends up on the ban list at the next ban and restricted announcement for the 1v1.
So if you're thinking about building him, maybe hold off on some of the expensive cards.
Yes.
All right, we see a vampire buddy coming onto the battlefield. All we see is blue. Blue and blue. Blue, blue. So much blue over on Player 2. They're going to tap, tap.
Well, that's an invention.
Yeah. Every streamer loves the inventions, or the invocations, or whatever they are. That's the Kaladesh one, a masterpiece, correct?
Yes. Well, they want to collate us into the graveyard off the mill.
Man, I love those unstable islands. What I'm actually been working on lately for a play group and to have here at the shop is I'm working on a full foil unstable cube.
Wow.
It is beautiful. Those full art, what are the things you flip over? You got a separate deck for them. Contraptions,
yep.
Those full bleed where the art goes all the way to the edge. Those are beautiful in foil.
Oh, I bet they are. Ooh.
And I'm under 70 cards away from having it completed.
Ooh, you're almost there.
4 of every common, 2 of every uncommon, 1 of every rare and mythic, and then contraptions 2 per pack to fill it out so that up to 12 people can draft it then.
Okay.
It should be fun. Should give a lot of the original experience of playing unstable. We see more lands.
A lot of milling going on. It looks like there was an op put into the graveyard of the Breya the Vampire Slayer's graveyard.
And they're fetching with the Verdant Catacombs. Can you see the artifact here on the bottom left-hand player side? I can't quite tell what that is.
I cannot make it out either.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens here. I want to see Breya come down.
Oh yeah.
I want to see those little Thopters come. I am building a Breya deck right now, and it's set up with very few creatures, very heavy on the control, the 1 mana removal spells, lots of mana rocks so you can Armageddon people, take away all their lands. Yeah,
You're
brutal.
just mean.
I am. But my playgroup said they hated playing against my fully powered Gitrog deck that wins turns 3 through 5 most of the time.
Gotcha.
So if they're going to hate me for that, I'm going to make them hate me for having a control deck. I was goldfishing and I got to Emrakul, my opponent, and Mindslaver him with the new Emrakul.
The new one?
Oh man, that's some fun magic.
It is. Now, are you running Mindslaver as well, since it is Breya?
I am not.
Really?
Is that a mistake?
I don't know. I guess the artifact theme.
Yeah, it's got a lot of mana rocks to be able to sacrifice. Yeah, and like I said, only a couple creatures. We're seeing more milling here.
Is that via the Altar of the Brood, I think? Is that what that card is?
Kind of looks like it. Persecution, Walk the Plank being flipped over.
All those removal spells and draw spells are just hitting that graveyard.
I don't think it's the end of the world to lose those removal spells, though.
Maybe not.
Does it seem like the opponents will be playing a lot of creatures, these decks?
I would not be surprised with the Muzzio deck playing some artifact creatures, but
Darksteel Ingot.
I bet it's more of a combo deck once he gets Muzzio out to flip through and find something like a Blightsteel and just drop it for free.
Mirage Mirror coming out, making the opponents mill 1 more each.
Blood Baron and a Commander Sphere getting milled. Maybe that's how the goal of this match is, just to mill them out. I mean,
who was expecting the mill? No one expects the mill.
Never.
All right, we come back to Bray the Vampire Slayer here. They're going to draw. Looks like player 2 is completely tapped out. Or is it still their turn here? I'm having a hard time seeing.
I think they're in untap. I think they're in the upkeep step because they did untap their lands.
Yep.
Breya Vampire Slayer did.
Beautiful.
I think they're just trying to see if they want to remove something before they go to draw.
Player 2 does have a little bit of mana available with the Ingot, it looks like.
And I think the Muzzio player actually tapped some lands and is holding that spell to decide what they want to do.
Gotcha.
Huh? The land. So we're in the main phase, so maybe nothing's happening.
There we go. Is that a Noble? Falconwrath Noble?
It looks like it.
I know that one. Hey, use our dice. Come on, guy. I said a bunch of dice right there for you.
You explained it to him, too.
I even explained it to him.
You know, unlike our last match in round 2, nobody's missed a land drop yet. So that's always fun to see when you're watching, and when we're watching. It really sucks to see a team get stuck on 2 or 3 lands and not be able to really use their deck to the full potential.
Absolutely. We want to see these things go off. We want to see them flex their muscles.
Right.
We want to see some sweet commander action.
Oh, yeah.
They must have some play over there on that side. Something that they're holding up and just waiting.
Maybe that's just his hand. Maybe he's just played out his hand and he only has 1 card left.
That's true.
I mean, he has 1, 2, 3, 4 permanents and then the 4 lands. That could very well just be his hand, I think.
Blue, I'm expecting you to have some card draw. It's just my expectations of you over whoever's playing blue.
Right.
And it looks like they're going to untap.
So we have a Mirage Mirror out, and Mirage Mirror is nice because it's going to become a copy of his other artifacts, which will help trigger Muzzio when he does eventually play it. For 2 mana, turning another artifact into something else, and then tapping Muzzio to look at the top X cards of whatever he made a copy of. That's going to be powerful stuff.
Absolutely, that's going to let you dig then for a lot of the stuff that you need in certain matchups.
Or your win con, or that threat.
Your combo piece. And Mirage Mirror can be another combo piece.
Yes, it is a phenomenal card from the...
is that Hour that came out in?
Hour of Devastation, yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely know it's in a lot of our local play groups decks now just because of how powerful it can be. The fact that it copies lands, you really get to copy those flip lands from Ixalan, which is a lot of fun to do.
I can imagine. I recently was in a cube draft, and I had taken that in my black, green, dark depths combo. So I could copy other stuff. You know, you can copy dark depths, I believe, and do that.
Because it comes in...
No, it has no counters.
So it'll turn into Merit Lage right away.
Exactly.
That's phenomenal.
I got to do that once during the cube draft. I got a Mirage Mirror my dark depths, but a lot of, you know, I think I had green in there as well too for the Sylvan Scrying, for some land tutors and everything. It was a fun little deck. I enjoy cube. Cube is one of my favorite formats. And it looks like we're going to get a couple mills. Drana hits the bin. That's a good one with all these vampires.
Right, another +1/+1 counter enabler just hitting the bin, which is not looking good for Breya the Vampire Slayer. Another mill.
And they are already down to 13.
Well, discarding a card off that artifact we have yet to identify.
And they're building out a pretty good board presence here. This mid-rangey vampire Breya deck hasn't really been able to put enough pressure on them in this early game.
Very, very correct. It looks like some sort of board wipe happened.
Yep.
Not sure how, but...
You see players scooping them to the bin here.
And looks like player 2 dropped an Erebos. So the wife gain that may or may not be built into Breya or Edgar has now been shut off. And it has the built-in greed, so the card draw engine is now kind of on the field as well, which enables Altar the Brood.
And we're going to see Edgar enter the red zone here. Pardon me, enter the battle zone here. And you got to be thinking at this point, what can they do to come back from 36 to 13? They got a couple of pieces set up to mill. They got the mirror. Edgar's going to swing.
He gets the counter.
Be a lot nicer with
those big fancy dice that are easy to read.
That they're literally using
in
right
that
next
white box.
There you go. Oh,
that's their commander
damage.
Counter.
Of course, they're going to use it for that, not for their dice.
At least they're using them.
At least they grabbed one. That's true. Before Edgar, was Drana the vampire of choice?
A lot of people in the multiplayer community of EDH use the original Drana because she has that built-in mana sink to either pump herself or give your opponent's creatures the negative counters. The new Drana, though, is really good for more of an aggro commander. She's cheap to cast. You can play a bunch of little guys and just pump them because of her first strike ability.
More decisions being made here. Looks like a Mirage Mirror activation coming.
And it looks like the commander did hit the battlefield for the top left corner of our screen here.
Bringing it in, hoping to get that going. A quick search through the players' graveyards. See what they got. 1, 2, 3. 3 cards exiled.
2 mana rocks. Never fun to see. Especially one of those being a Mind Stone so he can get the draw off of it.
Absolutely, having that additional utility built into your cards can be very helpful at times. We're going to see a swing here. Down to 8. Backs against the wall. What are you going to do, Breya the Vampire Slayer? We haven't even seen Breya enter play here.
Breya has not hit the field.
What do we got? We got most colors over on that player's side. It looks like he might be one
missing blue. I see white, black, red, and there's the guild gate tapped. Oh no. That's definitely something you don't want to see when your back's against the wall at 8 life.
And a removal spell.
Go for the throat on Oona.
Taking her out, putting her back into exile. Costs a little bit more the next time.
Yep.
Yeah, don't forget to untap Edgar there. you're really looking to stabilize, I think, here. It's going to be really hard with all those artifacts over there.
Yep.
These decks don't strike me as probably being packed with tons of things to interact with artifacts. Breya doesn't have any green. We don't have any green on the other side. Maybe a white.
Maybe a little bit of white. Council's Judgment. We saw that in round 2 being played. Maybe that's in Breya. Maybe it could be in Edgar because he is Mardu.
We're going to see a friend and a friend come down and some counters being placed. Edgar. Hey, maybe you grab those big dice that are next to you there, huh? There you go. What are you reaching over? Nope, you're going to grab D20s again, huh?
Little spin downs.
People.
Both Breya and Edgar could be running a braid. That could be one way they're going to deal with all these artifacts. But looks like a Borrow Signet hits the field, and Breya the Vampire Slayer passes the turn to player 2. Looks like there's a little confusion of what the counters are standing for, but player 2 carries on with their turn. And there we are, Eric, in there, telling them to use the dice so our viewers can be able to can see what's going on a little clearer. There we go. That's much better for all of our viewers at home. We got some clear representation of the amount of counters on the Edgar's board.
I'm back. I had to go give him a stern talking to.
Let's just confiscate the next round's player's dice.
Yep. Before you go into the stream room, you got to hand over your dice.
We'll keep them behind the counter. Nobody will take them.
Your dice and your dignity. Hand them both over, and we'll keep them behind the counter until you're done.
Yep. And if you lose, you don't get them back.
If you lose, we keep it.
Yep.
Playing for keeps today. Looks like some more deciding. The vampires growing again. That bottom left, the Breya players kind of let the team down. I haven't seen too much action from him.
Same here. I totally agree. And, to be fair, that Alter the Brute has been doing work since it hit the battlefield. I think it counts for each player on the team's permanent, so they're milling 2 cards every time they drop a land. They mill a couple cards every time they drop an artifact. It definitely is a very powerful card.
And they've hit some good cards that they've been able to take out of play from that deck. I've seen Supreme Verdicts. I've seen a couple other removal cards.
Draw spells. You got some mana rocks that have been milled. I mean, they're hitting the key cards definitely, I think, for both decks to really accelerate out of the gate. And maybe that's what Breya's missing is those key cards got milled and they're still digging for a better answer.
Looks like we got a response with Edgar's trigger on the stack. Lots of mana open for player 2. Yeah, which card's best? How do you want to do it? Lots of chatter that needs to happen to decide what resources you want to use at this time.
Yep. I mean, and you might think they're safe being at 25 life, but they've taken quite a bit of damage from Edgar, and so that's really their main concern is Edgar over the little vampires that he brings in with him, and that's a cryptic command.
Ooh. Very nice.
Looks like he countered something in his drawing.
Counter draw.
Oh.
Here it is. What do we got?
Looks like...
Oh, that is the one that makes you pay...
3?
3 or 4.
Supreme Will?
1, 2...
He's going to reverberate the cryptic command.
Hoo-hoo-hoo!
That's spicy.
Very spicy.
Oh, and there's a charm, I think.
Is it? I can't quite tell, but another response. We're going back and forth here, trading blows.
Whatever it did, it countered that cryptic and exiled it, so he's not getting that back.
Player 2 was ready for that.
Yes, they were. They kept their man up for a reason,
Absolutely, and it looks like we're going to see possibly a little bit more action from them. Copying Mirage Mirror.
Did he just turn Mirage Mirror into a vampire?
He may have done that. He may have copied...
I don't know if Edgar works that way.
No. definitely an interesting play, and there wasn't any complaints from the
Right.
Edgar player, so we'll get a counter on it.
Well, Edgar puts counters on vampires you control, so it probably didn't turn into
That's fair.
something, but it definitely has a counter on it for whatever reason.
So we got an interesting situation. Have any of you ever had an experience where a team was going to scoop up and then one team scooped up their stuff, kept permanents on one side and then their deck on the other, and realized there was something that was keeping the game going on?
I'll keep going. Okay, so let's see here. Player 2 is looking to find a way out of this. We apologize. Eric had to step out of the room. Being the judge on site today, he did have an interesting question come up. Maybe we'll cover that a little later since it might impact the tournament standings. Player 2 doing some math. That Mirage Bear definitely is doing some work. Be interesting to figure out what exactly is going on over there. We'll maybe talk to the teams after the round and give a little report in between rounds 3 and 4. Player 2 tapping some mana there in the upper left-hand side of your screen. Oh, activating Erebos to draw that card and lose 2 life. Definitely cannot say enough for having a draw engine on the board that's pretty hard to get rid of in the colors they're facing. That Indestructible God is just great for them. Oh, more mill happening. A Falconwrath Noble and a Reality Shift, maybe? And Breya the Vampire Slayer gets to untap now. Doing some thinking. Looks like he's going to be dropping something worth at least 3 mana, if not more. They're definitely trying to figure out their move here. Their back's still up against the wall with 8 damage, 8 life left on their life total.
I'm getting word that we had an interesting call out on the outer tables. We had one team who was about to concede, grab the match slip, and then they said, "Oh no, maybe we can still win." And the other team had already scooped up all their permanents.
Oh Lord! So what happens in those situations? You being the judge here today?
We're gonna look it up.
Oh, there we go. We're gonna Google that.
We're gonna Google that, and we're gonna get a hold of our L2 hopefully in the area.
There we go. Great idea. So as Eric looks it up, we'll keep covering what's going on here in round 3. The team's Breya the Vampire Slayer against player 2. We have Breya and Edgar for Breya the Vampire Slayer, and player 2 are piloting Muzzio and Oona. So very grindy matchup here. We have pretty much a control deck for 2 control decks for player 2, and 2 what should be aggro decks for Breya the Vampire Slayer, but if you have been watching this entire round, Breya has yet to hit the battlefield, which is very surprising, and maybe there's a reason. Looks like they go to remove some permanents. Oh, Edgar's getting turned sideways. Counters are going on some other creatures. 3 counters on Edgar. He's already a base 4/4, so that's 7 commander damage. Getting through, maybe. Looks like, yep. Team player 2 declares no blocks, and I think that it says they are at 18 commander damage from Edgar. That's pretty intense, and they're down to 12 life. Breya the Vampire Slayer turning this game around here late. Wonder if they'll be able to pull it off here in the end.
Yeah, we're getting close on life totals. They're bringing it back here.
18 commander damage from Edgar. That's intense.
You're going to need an answer to that.
Right away, it looks like. Both players playing blue, so there are some bounce spells. They could be playing Cyclonic Rift. I don't think It looks like the Oona player does have the 7 mana if he were to have that in his hand. He's just getting some reading Breya again, making sure.
There's a lot of options on Breya.
Breya comes with a lot of text, and here she comes, everybody. Breya has entered the battle, bringing in her 2 helicopters with her. Breya, one of the better commanders from Commander 2016. Those were the 4-color decks. I think the most notable one from that series being Atraxa, Praetor's Voice. Just an amazing commander all around, and I think Breya would be the second best one from that series. Definitely was the artifact commander people were looking for. Still isn't just blue-red, but it got there with adding the white and black. Breya, of course, enters with 2 1/1 Blue Thopter tokens, and you can pay 2 to sacrifice 2 artifacts, and either Breya deals 3 damage to target player, or target creature gets -4 and -4, or you can gain 5 life. Well, you know, Erebos has been on the field now for a while, so it's not going to be that third option, I think. Oh, life totals went down again. Looks like player 2 is at 10 life. Still at 18 commander damage from Edgar. Let's see what happens here. I don't think Breya the Vampire Slayer has yet to pass the turn. I may have missed that. Yep, player 2. It is player 2's turn. They're just doing some thinking here on what needs to happen. Player 2 is playing a spell. Can't quite make it out. Looks like Breya the Vampire Slayer is getting some clarification on what exactly the card does. Oh, there is a response. Sacking the Thopters for 3 to the face. Taps the mana rock, sacrifices it and Breya for another 3 to the face, since Breya is an artifact. I think player 2 is just getting clarification on how that interaction went down. Oh, something isn't happening. Little communication going on between the 2 teams, getting some maybe some rulings on how some interactions work. Looks like they bounced Breya to their hand. Breya got bounced.
Breya got bounced intentionally.
I think
good
it was
bad.
I don't know. She was able to sacrifice the 2 Thopters.
This is a razor thin game here.
Right.
I like coming back into this. I'm excited. As far as the table out there that we had with the situation where a player looked like they were going to concede, possibly, doesn't sound like there's an actual concession.
Oh.
But the other team had scooped it up and started shuffling their decks.
They were under the understanding there was a concession happening.
The other team, all they had said was, we can't win this, or something to that effect, and they started looking at their cards, and then they started hey, maybe we could, but the other team had already scooped up most of their cards and shuffled them in. So we had the team that scooped them up and started shuffling them. Either that we're going to let them, replay the match, which is our customer-friendly option if both teams feel as though it was kind of mishandled there at that point, or we're going to let the team who had scooped it up concede in that game.
Gotcha. And since this isn't competitive REL, there's
Absolutely.
a little leeway. We're all playing here for fun. I don't think we've mentioned.
Oh, and there's the handshake.
The hand.
Looks like Edgar got turned sideways.
Oh, leaving him hanging, man. There you go.
Oh, man.
Just couldn't get Muzzio out and get that engine going, but what an exciting match in between these 2 teams.
That was a good one. I can't believe that they
they battled back being at 8 life for quite a while. But
yes, sir.
not having an answer for Edgar is definitely
He grew
scary.
big quick.
Yes, he does.
I have not seen a lot of Edgar in action, but I was definitely impressed by even just putting counters on himself, making it hard for the opponent to block that way, and being able to force damage through that way. Edgar's a good commander. He would definitely be one I would be interested in building.
He is very interesting, a guy in our play group. Definitely has an Edgar deck, and it's just cheap 1 and 2 mana vampires that he can just continually drop. He's built so much draw into that deck, so if a board wipe does happen, he can refill his hand so fast, he just never loses gas, and all of a sudden, you're staring down 30 to 40 vampire tokens, and Edgar just swings away.
I'm guessing that's the black in Edgar that allows the card draw?
Yep, you got, Read the Bones, Ancient Cravings, Phyrexian Arena, all these awesome black card draws.
Painful Truce, I remember recently.
Painful Truce is from the Battle for Zendikar block, yep.
Absolutely. Edgar definitely has a lot of tools at his disposal with that Mardu color pairing that he has. And I like the combo. I like... these seem like a couple of very mid-rangey decks. So hopefully that they have game no matter which way. These decks I feel might really struggle against the combo control matchup though. These mid-rangey decks who can't really put pressure on a combo player, and it's going to cause them to take time to be able to assemble their board state. As we've seen, the Breya and the Edgar player really had to grind on this one.
They really waited for the right moment, and when they came out of the gate they were prepared, and I don't think player 2 was ready for that.
All right, we're going to go ahead and start getting the table set up for round 3 here.
Round 4.
Round 4, pardon me, in Eau Claire, Wisconsin at D20 Gaming LLC. My name is Eric Volkers. I'm here with Max Crandall. We will be right back.